Welcome to the Trailchasers podcast.
This episode is presented by Nexen Tire. We love the Roadian MTX tires, and we're super happy with the way they perform. They're great on the road, and they're absolute beasts off-road. Go to nexentireusa.com and get a set for your rig. This show's also brought to you by Icon Vehicle Dynamics. The Icon team takes a holistic approach to their products to ensure that all the components work together and you get the most out of your vehicle. If you want to take your vehicle to the next level, go check out what they've got for your rig at iconvehicledynamics.com.
Today on the show, we talked to Tyler and Jimmy from the Snail Trail 4x4 podcast. Cody gets all excited when they show us their new motherboard or mixing box or something like that. They start showing off their computer stuff, and all I hear is beeps and boops, and I don't know. Then they stick around for the second segment as we talk trash about Cody's Ranger again. It was nice to get another podcast perspective on trash and Fords. Lastly, we give an update on this weekend's Kessel Run. ...
Yeah, I guess we should start calling Matt Lando Calrissian because you just betrayed all the people attending the Kessel Run.
It's going to be a shit show. It is 6:30-ish Monday night. That means it's time for a Trail Chaser episode. We have Jimmy and Tyler from Snail Trail on with us tonight. How are you guys doing?
Doing good.
Doing well, thanks.
Okay, thanks for having us on, man.
So no, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, doing us a favor.
You're doing us a favor. We were kind of in pre-conversations, and Jose just reminded me to hit record, just get started. But what we were talking about is in our chat room, we have people that show up every Monday night and start having conversations. And there's a couple people in there that I will say have very strong opinions about the hosts of the Trail Chasers podcast, especially me. And that is my arch nemesis. His name is Tim. So if you guys, anything Tim says in the chat room is not true. It's all fake.
Is that fake news?
I was gonna go down that route, but I decided not to.
Is that fake news I've been hearing about?
It's so much about that. But the I feel like there's a lot of our listeners that are your listeners. And maybe not so much vice versa, but pretty much all 15 people that listen to our show listen to your show for sure.
They're live right now. All 15 people.
all 15 of our listeners are on and listening to this show. The Snail Trail 4x4 website, YouTube, podcast, all kinds of different stuff. Let's start with you, Jimmy. First of all, Jimmy Jet, is that a stage name or were you born that way?
It's his weekend name.
No, that's actually my middle name is Jet.
Oh man,
like Paul
John Travolta.
No, like Paul McCartney and Wings. Jet.
John Travolta. That's his middle name.
No, John Travolta named his kid Jet.
Oh.
Jet Travolta.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I like the
well,
Paul McCartney reference better.
No.
Yeah, definitely. So my actual name is James Jet Black.
Oh, wow. Come on. Serious?
Right? Jet
That's
Black.
cheating, right?
This conversation is over because I can never be.
He was born for success.
Yes.
Yeah, dude.
That's
a power name.
That is absolutely a go out into the world and be cool name. That is, the rest of us have to fight through. I mean, Matt, what are you going to do with that? What do you expect to be?
I have the most.
You still can't pronounce my last name. I've been married to your sister for 15 years. You still don't even know what my last name is.
Has it been 15 years?
That feels like it. I don't know, dude.
How did you make it that long?
Maybe it was less. I don't know.
How did you make it that long? And then Tyler
Yeah,
introduced
if I ever have a son, I want to name it Matt. So it'd be Matt Black.
After me?
After me.
Wow, thanks, man. We just met. I'm honored.
That is funny. All right. And Tyler, introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Tyler. I'm one of the other hosts on Snail Trail 4x4. So I bring the channel down. So the level goes up when Jimmy talks. Everybody loves him. And then apparently whenever I talk, everybody leaves and goes away.
Yeah, I know that feeling. I
So
know that
you're
feeling.
Cody.
Yeah.
You're
You know the
Cody
feeling?
on your podcast.
You and I should start a show. No one will listen. I think that's what'll
go.
happen. It'll be the unpodcast.
Me and Jimmy are going to start a podcast. It's going to be amazing. We're going to talk about conspiracies.
No.
It's going to be the best.
No. So look at it. I mean, you guys are extremely popular on YouTube, and the podcast has been going for how long now?
134 episodes as of today.
Wow.
But that equates to like 2 weeks. So
What?
Well, no, they do multiple episodes.
How does that work?
They do multiple episodes a
Hey,
week.
Yeah, we
Oh, I
do 2
see.
episodes a week, and we've been on a little over a year.
Okay.
And there's a while you guys were putting out 3, right? With like that Thursday like information.
we did.
kind of, that was the what was it? The Tyler's
Yeah,
Terribly
the
Twisted
Twisted
Topics
Right.
Talks. The TTTTTs.
Triple
whatever
T's or
those were.
something.
So yeah.
Well,
Those were fun though.
that is, man, 134 episodes in a year. That's a serious accomplishment because I know how difficult it is to put one episode out a week.
You can barely get me to show up like once a week, as it is.
Pretty much.
Right?
If I do not remind these guys on a regular basis, I don't think, other than the
I
fact
get lost all the time.
they
Still,
get,
I have to use Google to find your house.
they get fed when they get here usually, so I think that's why they show up. It's for the
Yeah.
food. And then the
There's a
YouTube.
trained response now. On
Yes,
mine.
it's Pavlov, right? And then the YouTube channel is a year old now, right?
No, the YouTube channel's a little over 3 years old.
3 years old. So you
Yeah,
started,
I started
on
it on 4th of July in 2017.
And how many YouTube episodes or videos do you have uploaded at this point? Do you know?
Oh, I think I'm over 250.
Man, so do you guys work?
Yeah, you guys have jobs or families or kids.
Yes, we do.
Well, for the last year, this has been my job.
Fantastic. So
Wow.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is impressive and awesome. And one of the things I wanted to comment about on the YouTube stuff, because I've watched, I don't watch it religiously, but I have tuned in. And one of the things I like the most about your YouTube stuff, and I want to know if this is intentional, is that it's very turn on the camera and go. Very organic. It's not scripted. It's very much your personalities come out in the YouTube channels. It's like, I believe part of the success is that people watch the video and they feel like they're hanging out in the garage with you guys. I mean, did it start that way, or did that something that you had to work on?
Pretty much that's what we're going for. Like we've found that through the YouTube and the podcast and everything that we're just kind of normal people that decided one day to hit a record button, and people like it, and people like to learn about the information and the stupid things that we get ourselves into. So definitely it's a lot of personality kind of goes into it, and it's definitely a lot of fly by the seat of our pants kind of thing. It's been funny. Some of the times we'll be in the shop recording different stuff, and I'll be like, that was awful. Do you want to retake it? And he goes, nah, let's just keep going.
Nope.
Well, because
That's what they expect.
well,
That's
there
the
are
fans
awful
want.
days. There
Yeah.
are times when things go
Absolutely.
wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's again, that goes back to the ability for people to connect, make a connection with you guys. There's the reality of, this didn't go exactly as planned, or I'm not really sure about this. Let's learn about it together. And it's not like a scripted. There are some shows that I've watched, and even podcasts I've tried to listen to, where the content is so scripted and like a repetition of Wikipedia as an effort to demonstrate superior knowledge. It comes off all wrong, and you can't connect to that. And you guys are like the opposite of that. You're very organic and real, and I really appreciate that about the content that you put out.
Yeah, thanks. I know that there's weeks where Tyler and I pretty much won't tell each other what we've been up to. And then when we meet up, we're like, oh my gosh, we have so much we need to tell each other. And that's why, and our reactions are for the most part are genuine reactions because we haven't told them like, oh, you know what? Hey, by the way, I popped your tires the other day.
Hold on.
Whoa. And so we'll, the genuine reaction will come through because that's actually the first time we've been hearing about it.
Yeah. A big goal of ours is to encourage people to get out and go off-roading and get out into the wild and get out and play with their vehicles and get out and work on their vehicles and wrench on their vehicles and figure out how their vehicles work, how to make them better. And we definitely feel like if we tried to, script things or try to be really professional, then it just comes off like, oh, that's not attainable. We can't. Everyday person can't do that as well.
Yeah.
Whereas, if we're sitting around screwing everything up that is possible to screw up, everyone's like, oh yeah, they did that. If they can do that, I can do that.
That's exactly
screw that up too.
That's our demo as well. Like, oh, that idiot did put a suspension on his truck.
Exactly.
It's got to be easy.
Easy.
Right.
So with that,
we know of a few podcasts because we were on the High Sierra 4x4 podcast for a very small stint, trying to, encourage them and keep them moving and, keep the podcast going and take some of the weight off. And when we left that podcast and we started our own, we've had 2 or 3 podcasts start up more or less saying, because you guys are doing it and you're screwing up all the time. We figured we can do the same thing.
Yeah. 100%. And I think so we've been you guys and us, we've been creating content for a couple years now. And I've had people make the comment like, how do you do that? And the answer is always just do. Yeah. The guys show up, we hit record, we start talking. Sometimes they're good shows. Most of the time they're not.
Sometimes they're not.
It also helps when your host, one of the hosts, decides to do wheelies on his bicycle and he wrecks himself.
You know what?
And then
Seriously.
then you have a few weeks worth of laughs at his expense.
If I wasn't as dumb as I am, I don't know that we'd have as many episodes.
That's true.
We would run out of content.
We all have our roles on our show. And thankfully...
The first time I used clip-ins, I did the same thing.
I would love to say
clip-ins.
This was a result of clip-ins. Several other falls have been the results of clip-ins. This is just a result of being old, out of shape, and not knowing it, or not being willing to accept it. So with that said, like the content you guys have created both on the YouTube side and the podcast side, what would you say is the advice to those people, the people that have reached out to you and said, hey, I'm thinking about starting a show? What would you tell them now that you're 140 episodes into the podcast?
I would say that simplify it. Like, don't talk about, we've done it a few times, but don't talk about like the 10 cool tools that you need in your garage. Talk about one tool per episode and make that a whole entire episode about one tool. Then you get 10 more episodes instead of that one episode that, covers 10 tools. Mm-hmm. So, really find the root of what you want to talk about and make it a lot simpler and then try to expand on that one idea.
Yeah. Focus points. Definitely. There's so many different ways to do off-roading content or any kind of content at all. I mean, we could have, just an off-roading. We could have Jeeps, Toyotas, Chevys, Fords, maybe not Fords, but
Nissan,
Dodge.
I'm sorry, you're breaking up.
So many...
I'm sorry, you're breaking up. What's that? We're gonna have to end the call.
Too much static. No, there's so many different things that you can do content on, and there's so many different ways and avenues to go about doing it. That just find something that you're passionate about and start making content about it. People will find you. And you find and partner with other people in the industry, and like for podcasting, like we get to come on and hang out with you guys for an hour, a couple hours. It's a good time, and people find you. And as long as you're passionate about it, that's really what drives it. So find something you're passionate about and make some content. Just share what you're doing with the world. And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, me and Jose keep trying to go down conspiracy roads, and Cody won't let us.
Look,
That-
if either one of you,
we're passionate.
if either one of you could figure out how to make the technology work and actually produce a show, you're welcome. You're welcome to start your own.
All right. Well, we want to record. We want to use the studio Friday nights, like at 11 o'clock at night. You know, that's when we want to do our show.
All right, that's
And they got to be fed too when they come
Yeah,
over.
that's be fed. Right. I want IPAs.
You know what? I don't drink beer at all, and my fridge is constantly stocked with beer because these guys come over here every week.
Not anymore.
Safe place to store it.
Yes. So going back to passion, let's get some background here. So you guys, obviously you're passionate about off-roading. I'm assuming you've been doing it for a long time. Talk to me about kind of where that started. Where did the for each of you, where did the passion for off-roading start? What was your path kind of to this point? And, you know, from a professional perspective, like, were you in content creation or anything? What did you do in your careers before you started doing this?
Me, you.
Go for it.
Let's see. So when I was really young, I wanted to, before I could get my driver's license, I contacted my father and I said, hey, I didn't, I yelled at
Contacted him. Did you write him a
contacted
letter?
him.
I was gonna ask. There's a weird
told
family
him.
dynamic there. I sent a pigeon I sent a
Not
raven
like he
to my
lives
father.
across the city, you know. Actually, you know what? He's like calling me right now. It's just funny.
Tell Dad or put Dad on the call. We'll ask him.
Professional podcaster silenced his cell phone. I told him that I was like, hey, I want to build a car. I want to have a cool car when I turn 16, and I want to, do this. And my dad's like, no way. I don't think you have any understanding about how hard that is. And I didn't. And so I started off with actually a Jeep XJ for a little while.
As many people did that were poor.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
I don't think it was a poor thing.
It was a
You
lemon
shot-
there, dude.
Shots fired.
Yeah, dude.
I had 3 of them.
Yeah.
I had 3 of them. I loved them. They were cheap at the time. You used to be able to pick them up for $2,500. That's what I'm saying. I loved them.
Now you can pick them up for $25.
Yeah.
More like 10,000.
Yeah.
So that broke very soon after I got it, and then ended up with a 1990 Toyota.
Did you make sure to
pickup.
check for that there was oil in the motor? I'm just, that's what I heard.
It was a 4-liter.
I heard they
think
like
those
oil.
4-liters can run forever without
dry?
oil.
Yeah, they run without. Yeah, they run without oil, dude.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. And then
Good
from
to
then,
know.
I just fell in line with a good group of friends that were off-roaders and outdoor people, and been wheeling kind of ever since. Went to college and met more people that were in the off-roading outdoor scene, and I went to school to become a graphic designer and do some web design, and I was doing that up until I left my job and started doing this full time.
Wow.
What was the pivot point where you're like, look, something has to give. Either my current job has to go, or I can't do the podcast and show anymore. Like, what was that like ultimate decision?
Why are
It
you asking
wasn't
that, Jose?
necessarily
Why are you asking, Jose?
Just asking.
Yeah. It's funny because Tyler and I were kind of having a conversation along this a little earlier, and it doesn't fall true with the way I did it, but I told him that because he's got his other product, Morphlate, and I said, when Morphlate starts taking over 2% or 2 times more effort for you to do than your day job, you need to stop doing your day job and you need to start concentrating on, the side gig. And that wasn't true for me. I lost, like, the company I was working for, it was like very mundane, same thing over and over and over. And when I started creating the content for the YouTube side of things, this was pretty much all YouTube at that time. I just fell in love with it. I got to experiment with my design side of things, and I got to experiment on my rig, and I got to create videos and go off-roading and show people these amazing scenes and amazing surroundings of Northern California. And, I took a massive, massive pay cut in just leaving my day job and coming to do YouTube and podcasting. But my quality of life is much higher and much more better. More better. That sounds horrible.
That works.
Much more better.
I completely understood you.
Than
That
it
works for
was.
us.
Mm-hmm. So, I chose living poor but having fun.
Yeah, we pretty much choose.
I don't have. That's not a choice.
I was
That's just
gonna say,
me.
That's just my reality.
Yeah, living poor, not a lot of fun.
Yeah, I just live that way.
What about you, Tyler?
Yeah, my off-roading kind of started, the passion for everything started when I was a kid. That was what my dad did on the weekends. And so growing up, my dad was always went to work before I woke up and was back after I was already in bed for curfew. So the weekend times, camping, off-roading, that was what I really remember from my childhood a lot of. So getting into that. And then, once I grew up and got a big boy job, I decided to get a big boy car, vehicle, a truck, a Toyota Tacoma, and see how many places I could take it. And that's really kind of where it all started. And from there, then I ended up when my current day job, which is a tennis sales. So I'm a sales rep here in Northern California for tennis, Wilson Racket Sports. So that kind of made me sell the Tacoma because it was lifted on 35s, mud terrains. It had a 6-inch lift on it. It was the dual cab long bed. It still hadn't been re-geared, so I was getting like 11 miles a gallon, and driving 40,000, 50,000 miles a year doesn't work too well in that. So I had to sell the Tacoma. But when I did that, what was cool is that I was able to buy a daily driver and a weekend play rig,
Nice.
and that's where I got my first Gen 4 from. And it was really well beat up. It was really well built up. I ended up doing some beating
up too.
Yeah. It had all the good stuff on it, Chevy 63s and the Deaver 63s in the rear, actually, some Alcan 5.5-inch lift springs in the front. It had the dual cases all set up, Marlin dual case 4.7 2.28. It had the R151 transmission, which has the lower first gear in it, the kind of the granny gear of the Toyotas. Mm-hmm. And it was an awesome rig. The first gen 4Runners are fantastic. They're a lightweight rig. They go anywhere and everywhere you want them to. They'll take a beating and keep going. And the axles had the full chromolys, ARBs. It was fully trussed and gusseted. It was a really cool rig. And then it was stolen coming back from Sierra Trek with all of my gear, all of my camping equipment, my tools, my spare parts. I had a couple ham radio repeaters in there. It was pretty bad. So after I got it recovered, thanks to social media, so thank you everybody out there that helped with that. I got it recovered, and they had stripped everything off the rig except for all the off-roading parts. Like they took the winch and the yellow top battery, but left the axles, the tires, the wheels, the drivetrain, everything.
Why would you take that type of vehicle if you weren't going to strip the drivetrain? Like, I mean, go steal a Camry if all you need is a battery.
Exactly, right?
They liked his camping gear.
Yeah. So they liked all my camping gear and all my radio equipment and all my tools and spare parts. So I got it back, and they had essentially stripped the interior, and I was just like, it's not my rig anymore. I didn't feel like it was mine. It was tainted, right?
It was violated. It got violated. Yeah.
Exactly.
It'll never be the same again.
Was it Dirty Mike and the Boys?
Yeah, right.
What the other guys? The movie The Other Guys?
Yeah.
Hey guys, we're gonna party over here in this Prius if you want to join us. Are you Dirty Mike and the Boys? You don't remember that?
I don't.
Oh my God, it's good.
Yeah, we're in the coat covered Prius, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's And you're giving me shit about Scott Pilgrim versus the World. That movie's way better than the
At
other
least
guys.
it's from the last 10 years.
No,
You're
it's
not like
not.
20-year-old movie.
And it has Dirty Mike and the Boys. that guy was not in Scott Pilgrim.
So you got it back, and it's tainted, and then what?
It's tainted, and I at that point as well, I was kind of like, the first gen 4Runners, they're amazing. You can remove the tops on them, have an open top vehicle essentially, but the main problem was that the space between the driver passenger seat behind that and the rear seat area and the cargo area, that was like unusable space.
Yeah,
you can't use it very well in the first gen 4Runners. So I was like, you know what, I want an SUV still because I'm too lazy to weatherproof all of my gear for a pickup. And I wanted 4 doors so that I can access behind the driver and passenger seat a lot more easy. And so I was actually in New York for work, and Jimmy messaged me about a 94 4Runner that popped up on Facebook Marketplace. And so I messaged the guy, and I'm like, hey, is there any way I can send my buddy out to go look at it and check it out and see, if this is actually a really good deal or not? And he was like, I don't know. It seems kind of weird that you're having somebody else come out and look at it. And I was like, yeah, I'm just in New York. I won't be back for another week and a half. And he was like, I don't know. And I was like, I'll send you a deposit of like $500. I'm pretty sure I want this. I just need to make sure that everything checks out. And he goes, you know what? This is starting to sound like a scam. What the hell is going on? No, he goes, you're in New York. You want to send me money for a deposit, and then you're expecting a guy to come and check it out and pick it up for you. I was like, oh, yeah, you're probably right. That actually does.
I don't think it sounds that weird, because I had my brother. My brother was living in Sacramento at the time, and I had him go look at a Jeep. I called him up. I said, go look at this Jeep for me. Tell me whether or not I should buy it. And then just a couple months ago, Casey had me go look at 2 vehicles that he was looking at buying because he couldn't get the time off work. And I don't work. Don't tell anybody, but I never do anything. And then I took off during the day.
Cash checks.
I took off during the day to go look at a couple vehicles for him. And I was like, yeah, my brother will be by later to buy this. I think it's a normal thing.
Okay. So that makes me feel a little bit better. I don't know. Yeah. So anyways, we're just like, hey, I totally get it. Hey, we actually run a podcast and a YouTube channel. And he goes, oh, you Snail Trail 4. We told him Snail Trail 4x4. He goes, oh, I listened to you guys. And we were like, oh, okay.
Wow.
And he actually took your ham radio class.
He did. He took my ham radio class.
How funny.
I believe the same one you were in, actually.
It was, yeah.
So it was just a funny coincidence that ended up all shaken down to get that 94 4Runner that I have now. And then once I got it, I decided that I really, really, really wanted to go on a Barrett Lake trail run, a weekend trip, like a week and a half after we got the rig. But I didn't want to take everything that was on the rig. I wanted to take everything that was on my first gen 4Runner and put it on the second gen 4Runner in a week and a half. So we ended up doing a big swappy swap where we took the transmission, T cases, and axles, out of at least 2 rigs, the axles out of 2 rigs, and swapped everything. And then we took his transmission and T cases out of his truck and put them in one of the 4Runners. And so we ended up swapping around 3 drivetrains within a week. It was kind of fun.
See, that's the difference between you guys and us. If we had 2.5 months to change the oil and install stickers on one of our trucks, we'd be like, I don't know, man. I don't know if we can get it done in time.
I do it.
I take it back. Jose.
I do it.
Yeah,
you
Jose,
guys don't do it.
Yeah. So yeah, we don't. I don't ever get that deep into when it gets that bad. It's time for a new vehicle. It's just let's just get something else. I don't
Just give up on it.
Yeah.
This truck's dirty.
Yeah. I think the tires are worn down. Trade it in. Yeah. So going to that extent, you guys, mechanical aptitude and capabilities, you guys really know what you're doing, or at least you have the perception. We have the perception that you know what you're doing as much as you're faking it, I think, just because we're all faking it.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah. One of my personal mottos is fake it till you make it.
Yeah,
so it's definitely act like you know what you're talking about, and sometimes you make things work.
Yeah. But where did that come from? Are you guys just the type of people that aren't afraid to tear stuff open and see what happens? Or did you have some kind of like experience or training in the mechanical world?
No, I've had no training for the most part. I figured, I if I can take it apart, I can probably put it back together again. And it most of the time it's worked out for me. Sometimes it doesn't in my favor. I actually just broke apart yesterday, working on something. So, but once you get your hands dirty and you start small, start easy, start, changing some lights or,
stickers,
something simple.
Start with stickers.
Start with stickers and then move to, blinker fluid and, move on from there.
Muffler bearings. Of course.
Yeah. I always so when I was 19 and I got my first Jeep, it was a bucket of crap and I couldn't afford to have anybody work on it. So I would do it. And I always took the approach of, well, it's already broken. So worst case scenario is I can get in there and fix it, or worst case scenario, it's still broken and I have to take it to a shop either way. So it was like whatever. I'm gonna at least give it a shot. And I'm sure I shot WD-40 into places it didn't belong and replaced parts that didn't need to be replaced. But that's kind of how you learn to do things. And
WD-40 washes off, right?
Yeah,
eventually.
Yeah. But there's been several times.
Combustible. Yeah, right.
There's been several times where, I had a buddy that needed to put in a rear locker and a lunchbox locker, and I was like, he's like, "Can you do it?" yeah, sure, let's do it. And we just start taking it apart and put it together. I mean, it's
He trusted you.
yeah, nobody should do, but
Mistake one.
but we have done enough to our vehicles to where the three of us aren't afraid to try. I think it's more about not wanting to take the time to do it more than anything.
Yeah, that's where I'm currently at. I'm doing a 3-4 swap on my 4Runner right now because I blew the third cylinder on my 22RE. And I was like, well, I don't know if it's valves or if it's like a ring or a piston or a seal or something down in the lower end of the block. So I was like, a listener came forward and gave me a phenomenal deal on a donor rig for a 3-4 swap. So thank you, Troy, by the way, if you're listening. I was like, all right, let's go do this 3-4 swap.
Damn it, where's my pin? Damn it. 38 minutes.
It happened. Good job. He's got to scramble for a pen.
Do we owe $1 to the swear jar?
No, it's
You can give me $1. I'll put it in a jar. I don't care.
no, we just
Give me that money.
I don't know, like, I mean, we cuss like construction workers. We're you know, but
Technically, I was a construction worker
for a lot of years.
You can't blame me.
and when I
you
first
can.
started
What's my
this,
excuse?
what started this show, when we started it, it was
Just an asshole.
Damn it! And then when we
I can't say asshole.
I don't know, but don't say it again. So as far as the show's concerned, like I always mark not explicit. And, the logic behind that, I've been asked multiple times, the logic behind that is there are people that will filter out content that has explicit, like they will filter out shows when they're searching that has explicit content. And so at first it was like just trying to keep everything family friendly or whatever, regardless of all the innuendo. But then it became a joke, and it became a thing where, Jose would just drop F-bombs randomly, and I'd have to scramble to try to edit them. So now I keep a notepad with me at all times so I can mark down when someone says something I need to edit out. And we just lost Matt off the live feed for some reason.
That's
Does that mean we
glitchy.
get to start talking about it?
Well,
What fun stories do you have about Matt?
That was your chance. That was your chance, guys. I'm back.
Oh, man.
Oh, no, I'm not
Yeah,
muted.
so Matt, Matt was recently introduced. What a disaster! Will you please? Are you done?
I don't know. So what? Ruining the show? No.
It's too late for that.
It's
dude.
just getting
2020,
started, baby.
It is 2020. Matt is just now figuring out how to turn computers on, and
But I do it like every time. Just about every time I'm able to turn it on, and I think I should get some credit.
You know that movie Encino Man?
What's with the old movie references?
I
Now
don't
you're
know.
going way back.
That's old, dude.
Yeah.
so. With that, you guys are heavy Toyota content because you both drive Toyotas. What was that like an intentional thing, or was it just you gravitated towards the Toyota brand and that's where you kind of built your content from?
We actually started, we just really both like Toyotas. They're kind of like building with Legos and playing with Legos. You can take them apart and take parts off other rigs and just slap them onto your rig and swap 3 drivetrains in a week and a half without too many issues. So we both like the building block Lego-ness of Toyotas. And when we started on the High Sierra 4x4, they were heavily Jeep content. And I knew Greg and Jeff in personal life from wheeling and clubs. And Matt's gone. What do we get to say now?
I'm not even doing anything.
I think at this point we're
I'm
better off with.
I'm trying to contribute.
Yeah, he's still on the microphone. You just can't see him on the live feed.
probably
Which,
be-
to be
it's probably
honest,
better that way.
I think our ratings are just going to go. Yep, we got more viewers right now just from that.
Nice. Look at that.
So we'll just
Now my screen's black.
so we'll leave Matt off the live feed for now. We'll fix it in the break.
That works.
So
Tim said he was getting tired of watching him anyway. So
not true.
No, I think Tim secretly loves Matt because
That's not true, sir.
because they're pretty much they could be brothers. I mean, like they're
That's right.
if they were in the room, people would think they're either brothers or bears. I'm not sure which one.
one or the other.
Growl. You're so growly. So the Toyota, I mean, we are brand agnostic when it comes to vehicles. I sold.
No, I hate Fords.
I had a Tacoma.
Fords.
I had a Tacoma. I wanted to upgrade and get something better, so I got the Ranger. Jose still drives his '94 Land Cruiser, and Matt has the
Best
Unicorn,
truck in the world.
the best truck in the world, the Nissan.
The Land Cruiser, thanks, bro.
But so how has that played into the audience, like the content that you create and the audience that you're getting? Are you seeing a lot of Toyota specific support, or are you seeing a larger group from the community that just, regardless of whether or not it's Toyota or Jeep or trucks or whatever, what's that mix look like for you guys?
Do you want to answer that?
We're definitely more Jeeps listen to our podcast than Toyotas,
That's
I believe.
funny, dude.
Wow.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I mean, out of the, because we asked for support and asked for people to give a review. So if you guys are enjoying this podcast, make sure to leave them a review because it definitely helps the algorithm. And whenever people leave us a review on our channel, they go, "Oh, but I'm a Jeep owner."
Yeah.
You guys cover great content, but I'm a Jeep owner. But they're still, hanging out and listening. And I think it's more, it's just all about the off-roading community. And, if we're just talking about doing axle swaps, it's, whether it's on a Toyota or on a Jeep, a Ford or a Nissan, it's all an axle swap. So, it's a very relatable content.
Yeah, and I think that says a lot about your content and the way you guys produce stuff than it does the brand. So I mean, if you're a Toyota guy and you want to know specifically Toyota stuff, and someone has a Toyota show that's not very good, but at least the knowledge is there, you'll listen to it. I'm a Ford guy. I'll listen to you guys because you're fun, because you got good information, because you know what I mean. I think that's a representation of the fact that you guys are putting out content that is a broader spectrum and relatable, versus just like, this is how you do an axle swap in an 84 Tacoma or, 84 Toyota, whatever. So I think that's a big part of your guys' success. Up in Sacramento, so I've spent a minor amount of time up there. Like I said, my brother lived up there for a while. What's the wheeling environment there? How far are you away from the large, like Rubicon, bigger, well-known places?
We are about an hour and a half from the Rubicon, from Fordyce, Barrett Lake, all the big trails here in NorCal. So we're definitely spoiled. Almost every single rock crawling trail up in our area is definitely like granite, and the High Sierra granite with evergreen pine trees everywhere, a few juniper trees here and there kind of thing. But it's a lot of High Sierra granite. So you get a lot of ledges, a lot of just big, smooth, rounded boulders kind of thing. Not a whole lot of jagged stuff like shale and slate, and not a whole lot of mud. Rock crawling you'll see out on the East Coast a lot. Not a lot of mudding like you'll see down south. It's just a lot of granite, which is really cool. It's a different type of wheeling from other different types of wheeling. There's definitely different styles of off-roading out there. But to be within an hour and a half of Rubicon and Fordyce is pretty cool. And we often find ourselves like, hey, do you want to go 3 hours down to like Fresno? And Fresno has some amazing High Sierra trails as well, like Swamp Lake, Doozy Ursham, the Red Mountain trails down there. And we're like, that's like a 3.5 hour trip. I think we'll stick to the Rubicon and Fordyce.
Yeah, we're sort of jaded on that aspect.
Yeah.
And I think, so looking at the vehicles that you guys have, I think that environment that you're in has driven the builds of your vehicle. I mean, the large axles,
Absolutely.
the stoutness, like none of our vehicles are built like that. None of our vehicles are built to take on those large rocks and those bigger trails, because we have so much desert and trail and fire road access here. We never get to that point. But I'm sure that if we lived an hour and a half away from the Rubicon, we'd all be on 37s with
so
60s.
too.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, think about how long it takes. An hour and a half doesn't really get you anywhere. It took me an hour and a half to get here from work, and it's only like 25
miles, dude.
Yeah, so time's not really a good scale for us. Being SoCal.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, miles?
Miles, yeah.
How many miles to the Rubicon?
To the Rubicon, 80.
Yeah.
85 to 100, something like that.
Yeah, that's a day and a half. Like,
Oh, yeah, you
miles here. I mean, yeah, it's still like it's sort of like camping. It's like an adventure. You got to pack some food.
Yeah.
So I remember.
Well, that's why in Southern California, there's a lot of people that have rooftop tents, and everybody thinks that's for camping. That's
No,
just for when the 405 shuts down.
Yeah,
they have a
pull
place to
over.
sleep for the night. I mean,
Pull
that's
over on the shoulder.
Yeah,
just like a long haul trucker. Just
honey,
pull over.
Yeah, honey, I'm not
pull
going to
the
make it home
tent
for
out.
dinner. I'm going to pop open the tent, open up the scuttle, and get some cooking in.
Hey Tyler, but going back to like vehicle purpose or case specific builds, right? Like I remember the episode you went to Baja in your Forerunner. And you said it handled like shit, right? Because I mean, it's not built. It's not built. For
Jose,
the,
watch out! You can't cuss
No.
anymore. You got to use the word poop.
Shite?
I have never
it
bleeped
handled
out
like poop.
I've never bleeped out shit.
Well, no, it's just that his truck was so set up for extreme, like rock crawling.
Yeah.
That up in the whoops and in the long, just corrugated road, like it was not set up for that at all.
Oh, it sucked. It was terrible. I in that rig, because I'm always doing low speed rock crawling where, down travel and traction is really the name of the game. When you get into the desert like Baja and you have to worry about up travel and having bump stops, which I didn't have down in Baja, I destroyed my rear cross member. The shocks just bottomed out so many times.
You had to get it welded, some shop down there or something, right?
Yes, I did. I had to drive back into town that day and have them weld up my rear cross member, and then I broke it again before leaving on the way home in a different spot. So I sheared it twice down there, and just being on a solid axle, doing high speed stuff, just definitely is not as comfortable. I didn't have the spring rates, the up travel, anything. Everything's designed on my rig for really low speed traction. Down travel. Yeah. And as for what I put it through and drove it, 2,000 miles round trip and went through, essentially a course, a section of the Baja 1000 course with it. It was very impressive that I even drove it back home, but it was definitely fun. But it's absolutely, you have different purposes for vehicles. We've kind of joked about it a couple times where we need our crawler, we need a go fast desert rig, we need a mudding rig, we need a
or
landing style rig. Like we both
you need an Ultra 4
stuff
car.
We want to do. We need like 5 rigs each.
Yeah, or you need $100,000 Ultra 4 car. Like that.
There you go. Yeah, that would work too.
Yeah, that's I think I'm going to save up the money. Instead of getting 5 $20,000 cars, I'll get $100,000 Ultra 4 car.
But like us for down here, like our terrain varies. Sorry to cut you guys off. Our terrain varies. Like we have some rock crawling here that we can hit, but we also have desert running, like a lot more desert running than we do rock crawling out here.
Yeah, and there is rock. If we searched it out,
right,
there are plenty of
here.
trails that we could go find to do rock crawling on. We just don't do much of it because of the way our rigs are set up. I mean, Gold Mountain, for example, would be something that's I think more people would consider it to be rock crawling.
John Bull would be.
John Bull. And
John Bull's a good one, yeah.
Which I'm totally willing to do because I've got the sliders and everything now. Once Matt gets the sliders on, I think it's something we try to do on our 33-inch tires and see what happens. But yeah, the large rocks and ravines and stuff of the Rubicon, there's only so far we're going to get without some assistance. But to your point, we spend a lot of time in the desert, the dry desert out there. And, I'll speak for Matt and I.
Yeah, well, more importantly, my AC works great.
Yeah.
So my rig is set up. My rig is set up how I want it and need it, nice and cold.
Yeah.
And the three of us daily drive our vehicles. Do you? I know you, Tyler. You had said that you've got 2 vehicles now, and do you tow the Forerunner to trails, or do you drive it?
I drive it. I love driving the Forerunner 2 trails. I don't like the logistics of taking a tow rig and having, if you take a tow rig to a trail, you have to come out at the same point you went in.
Yes.
So that not only limits you on what trails you can run, but B, then you got to find extra parking and hope that somebody doesn't block you in while you're parked there, and hope that your trailer's still there when you come back. And there's just a lot of extra logistics with towing vehicles that I really don't like. And being, within an hour and a half, 2 hours of some really awesome trails up here in NorCal, there's not really whole point, a whole lot of a reason to tow to a trail when you're that close, and you can get parts on a whim to just go back up the following day and fix your rig and get it off the trail, kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's always been my opposition to the side-by-side world. Is when I would go wheeling with buddies that had side-by-sides, those things are pretty fun. And especially now, the way they're built now, they're a lot of fun.
Yeah, they have 150 horsepower, turbocharged.
Yeah, but I specifically, I remember a trip, we went wheeling, we started down at the base of the mountain, wheeled up to this cafe, and nothing went right. We hit all kinds of detours and problems. We got there for lunch, and everybody else had to turn around and go back the way we just came to get back to where their vehicles are. And me and my buddy were like, peace, man, we're going home. Like, we just jumped on the freeway and went home. So I've always been a proponent of the off-road truck world versus the side-by-side because of that. I mean, if you can do both, then, kudos. But granola bars to use. But no, I agree that the trailering is it has its own sense of logistics. If you're going, there's been situations where like we would go to Ocotillo Wells for the weekend and you're going to have a campsite. And so you take the trailer out, drop it, and then wheel everywhere and trailer back. I've done that in the past.
Yeah. But if you try to do Rubicon, you have to trailer at the beginning of the trail. And then someone has to go and pick you up at the other end of the trail.
We did that once too. We did Barstow to State Line instead of Barstow to Laughlin, and one of the guys had a side-by-side. So we all got to Barstow, dropped off. His wife and the other girls stayed in the truck, took the truck and the trailer to State Line, and we went across and made them, because they were like, they wanted to get to the gambling. They wanted to get to the casino. They didn't care about the off-road trip. So that was, but that's, I think we're on the same page there. So with the growth of the show and the growth of the podcast and the YouTube stuff as it's growing together, what kind of things have you guys found that is either surprising or that you didn't expect? I mean, when you started this, I'm sure it was like, hey, let's see what happens. But what kind of things has really caught you since the beginning?
I didn't realize how often we were going to be wrong.
Yeah, that's a good one.
We've had, I think we should make like a whole episode. We should make a third episode in a week and just do corrections from the last two episodes. But, to say that is because we have such a cool community of people that are listening to us, and we have, people that actually know some of the answers from what we're talking about and can get back into contact with us and tell us what we did wrong or what we said wrong, and then we can correct ourselves on air and we can let everybody know what, hey, we said this and this is actually very incorrect, and what you need to do is, X instead.
Yeah, but so going back to that though, like we talked about earlier, you guys having relatable content, you're just normal guys that are doing this. I've never gotten the feeling from what I've watched or listened to in your show, you never present yourself as an expert. You're the guys trying to figure this out. So people are open to the idea of saying, hey, just so you know, there's a better way to do this. You guys are receptive to that information. Is that an accurate statement?
Absolutely. Yeah. We're, like Jimmy said, we are super lucky in that we have some really, really smart listeners, much smarter than we are. And they definitely help, because we've tried to talk a couple of them into doing their own shows and their own podcasts with stuff. And they're like, no, I don't want to be on air all the time. I don't want to put the work into it. And I was like, they'd much rather just kind of sit back and correct us and send the corrections to us and let us, I guess, hit the record button each time. But it's super fun, and it's always fun to be wrong. It's weird. I don't know. It's kind of weird to say that, but it is super fun to be wrong because you learn a lot of stuff from some really cool people out there that are just listening out in podcast land or on YouTube land or wherever it is.
Yeah, and
I don't think I've learned anything.
Well, I was just going to say, we've spent the majority of our life being wrong, so we just don't know any difference. It's that's just like a Tuesday for us.
Man, I think you're wrong there. You're probably right.
If someone's going to question it, I'm going to go, okay. If you say so, we'll see what happens. But what do you think? What content, speaking from like either the podcast or the YouTube channel, what content do you think resonates the best? What do you get the most feedback on?
How about you take the podcast? I'll do YouTube.
Oh, okay. I'm going to go with ham radio. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's just the one I love talking about the most. I don't know, the most feedback that we gain, we typically get, we talked a little bit about earlier, taking and talking about, say 10 things you need to take camping, or what are things that you need to have in your vehicle for safety measures, or what are things you need to have in order to survive in the environment for 3 to 4 days just to get back to civilization. Those ones we tend to get quite a bit of positive feedback on. And what's really cool about those ones is that not only do we get, good feedback, people saying, hey, that was really cool. I didn't think of that item or this item or how to do that versus the way I do it now. But we get a lot of feedback from people who do it so differently than we do. And we're like, oh, damn, that's a really good idea. That is a really slick setup you have in your rig. So,
and you're like, I've never thought of doing it that way.
Exactly. So it's really cool. Like I said, not only are we kind of sharing our experiences, but then we have this wide audience to give us good ideas as to what kind of cool stuff we want to do to our rigs as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the one I'm thinking about that is just referring back is, we did survival equipment, and we had a guy from Australia write us and say, you need a snake bite kit. Yeah. And we're like, well, yeah, in Australia.
That's not you're going to need it.
Yeah. In Australia, they give you one at birth.
Yeah, they give you a suit of armor. They give you a suit of armor and
snake bite kit, a knife that big.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, that's not the least dangerous. That's like the least dangerous thing in Australia. They got spiders. There's like vampire bats or something.
Everything in Australia wants to kill you.
Exactly.
Essentially, yeah. Even all the plants are trying to kill you all the time in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the YouTube side of things, I get a lot of feedback on my how-to videos, and like how to lift a Forerunner or how to level out a Tacoma, and I get a ton of feedback on that, but I by far get the most interaction on a building series of like, hey, I don't actually know what I'm doing here, and I'm trying to learn how to fabricate this. And if you guys have any feedback, please help me out, because I'm learning as I'm going, and that like goes millions. I get tons and tons of comments that way, and it's all true because I'm totally out of my element. Like I'm gonna rip apart a 2-wheel drive truck here soon and build it into a 4-wheel drive truck. And I've done some of this stuff, but I'm considering like hacking off the frame and building new frame rails, and and that's gonna be way out of my element. And I only know that the audience is just going to eat it up because there's so many people out there that have done this sort of thing before and have great feedback to help me out.
I don't know. I mean, we've offered up like love advice, free love, call in or leave voicemails.
Financial advice.
Financial advice. I don't know. If you guys want fabrication advice, I'll give it to you. I'll give you some advice.
No, if someone needs fabrication advice, we'll bring
Casey to a reputable fabricator.
Call my brother. He'll take care of it. But so I want to go back to that though. I think again, not to belabor the point, but you guys aren't afraid to express some vulnerability in lack of experience in specific topics. And I think that goes a long way with people, because most of us, when we're trying to do something out in the garage we've never done before, we feel that sense of vulnerability and we're like, man, I don't even know how to do this. I don't even know where to start. And here's someone that's
turning on the wrench in the wrong direction.
Yeah. And here's someone that's in the same boat I am, and they're willing to put it out into the world. And then I think the other piece of that is there are people in the world that have that experience. And I think about like the old school guys that have been doing this forever, and they want to share that knowledge, and you're giving them an outlet for that. When you say, hey, I don't know how to do this, that's taking that guy that's like, oh yes, I've been listening to this show for 130 episodes, and this is the one thing I absolutely know for certain. I'm going to reach out and tell him how to do this. Right.
So my moment has come.
Yes.
They've been waiting 130.
Yeah. Like if we ever said, like,
oh man, you poor bastard. Like you're listening to our show, it's like, dude, finally you got some valuable content. You've been waiting for 2-3 years.
No, I'm saying the listener is able to provide that content.
Oh yeah.
The listener is able to participate. That'd be like my wife coming on the show and saying, I want to bag on Cody for a while, and then Tim would be like, yes, this is my moment. Yes. I can help.
I'm going to contribute.
I can contribute. Yeah, and then I think about that, I think they're connected on Instagram, which I should probably thwart. I need to make sure that they're
probably getting together before the show. Like,
Where do you think
during
Tim
the week.
gets his ammo?
Yeah, exactly. He knows where to hit you.
Yeah, Timmy's in the background saying, "This is what Cody did stupid this week." Yeah, that's all I need. That's all I need.
Yeah, episode 50, we took our significance on air with us, and we got a lot of feedback from that one too.
Yeah, we did a wife's episode where the three of us, we turned on the machines and walked out, and the wife's no script. The wife's went for an hour and a half, and it is still the most commented on, most loved episode. The girls could do way better at this than we do, for sure.
Nice.
So with that, talk about this 2-wheel drive vehicle you're about to rip apart. What's the plan there?
It's really it's been morphing and then going way back to being simple and then kind of morphing again to getting extravagant. And so it's all over the place. And so I don't have an exact answer about what's it going to become. But for what I can say for the most part is that I am going to be taking it. It's a 1993 Toyota pickup. It's a 2-wheel drive. And so I'm doing a solid axle swap on it. And then I'm going to still keep the 22 RE that's in there because that's totally fine for rock crawling. We don't need a massive V8 because we'll have all the torques in the world because I'm going to add some dual T cases in there.
Triple cases.
I might do triple cases where that's on the list.
Wow.
And then as for suspension, I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen yet. We're in some discussions with some other people, and if the stars align, then maybe we'll do some more fancy things. But if things don't line up as planned, it might just end up being a budget build.
Wait, I thought the plan was to do a 4-wheel independent suspension rig, like a ultra desert bomb truck.
Rear engine.
Yeah, rear engine, 4-wheel independent.
So look, the Snail Trail Racing and the Ultra 4 next year, we're down here. We'll be your pit crew. We'll be the pit crew.
Yeah.
You guys
We can wrench on stuff.
Yeah. No.
It may not run the same after you leave the pit.
Yeah, Jose can wrench on stuff.
Yeah. We could put gas in the car.
I can help drinking beer.
Yeah.
If you need help drinking some beer,
I'm really good
that.
with the towel, like wiping off your face because you're sweaty. After that, you're on your own, man.
We've actually had a challenge from a couple listeners because we have a couple of other podcasts that we're pretty close with that we do a lot of different events with. We meet up a couple times a year. Mike and Max's Off-Road Podcast and Wheeling Wine and Whiskey.
Yeah.
And we had a couple listeners reach out and say that we all needed to challenge each other to each come up with a 4600 car for Hammers, which is the stock class for Hammers. So we would do a Toyota, Wheeling Wine and Whiskey would do a Jeep of some kind. And then Mike and Max's Off-Road would be, I don't know, maybe another Liberty or a Patriot or something. I don't know.
We would do a Frontier.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
And we'd win.
Yeah, I think we would totally do a
Just stock Frontier.
Yeah, just a stock Gardner truck.
31.
Because here's the thing. Here's the thing. We could buy
and perfectly functioning AC.
We could buy 4 Frontiers and just stage them at different parts of the trail, and just like drive this with it'd be like a relay, a Frontier relay, where you get this
We'd
one
have
far enough,
a baton that we'd pass,
wreck it, push it off the trail so nobody noticed. Get in the other one, just get 4 white Frontiers and line them up on the course, and just leapfrog. I think we could do it.
You know, that's not a bad idea. Create kind of like a Hammers relay style race where you have to go from point to point to point, and if you break your rig, then you are hoofing it. You're running to the next point to get your next rig.
Hashtag, I came up with that. That's my idea. I hashtagged it. Look, that makes it legit.
I don't know if you guys do this on your show, but we've realized that legally, if you say hashtag it's mine, I own it. It's patented. It's as good as the patent. You don't need anything after that.
That's legal.
It's binding. It's binding. So are you any chance that you guys are going to come down to Hammers this year?
We'll see. I've gone down the past 2 years in a row. Jimmy's nodding yes. I just learned that the main crew that I usually go down with, we have 3-4 rigs that race in Hammers from my main group of people, and one of them is taking this year off. They're not going to be going down to Hammers this year, so I would assume the other 3 rigs are still going to go. And if they do, then I'm going to try and find a way to go. It was really hard doing it last year because I was still trying to work my day job and not take vacation time. So I was sitting in the media tent because we had media passes, which was awesome. So we got the media tent and media internet. So I was sitting in the media tent though for like 4 hours, 5 hours a day, just doing my day job before I was able to go out and actually like have fun at Hammers. So if I do it again, I'm definitely taking vacation time this time and saying goodbye to the day job for that week.
Oh yeah, I've more than once been at Glamis or Johnson Valley on the top of a mountain with my cell phone going, no, we can do that. We're good. I'm
Absolutely.
I got to jump on this call though. I'm going to be in meetings for the next 4 hours. Don't bother me.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys do come down, I mean, let us know. Our plan is to be there. We don't know as to what. Why are you looking at me like that?
No, are we going to do this? Can we do the same thing we did last year?
So last year, Icon did this amazing event. It was a Overland Hammers off-road event that was a collaboration with LG ECTS, Baja Forged, Trigger Controller, Shift Pod, a bunch of people. So we got to participate in that. It was a private camping area. It was phenomenal.
Nice.
I don't know what Icon's plan is for this next year.
You had to, when you were drinking beer, you had to have your pinky out, like, because you were really important. Like, so don't worry. Yeah. I made sure to do that. So I wasn't like blowing my cover. Like,
I was like, do not embarrass me.
Yeah.
We failed in not embarrassing you, like, 1 o'clock in the morning when we were totally hammered.
There was a significant amount of embarrassment on that show. We
still
won't
talk
go into
about
it now.
that. Whenever we get with certain people in our crew, we reminisce about it.
That and my brother chastising a former Ultra 4 race participant on how Ultra 4 works is probably
that was good.
The funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. Watching my brother talk to Teresa about how she's wrong about Ultra 4 when she's raced it, I don't know, a couple times, 3 times. Anyways.
That's hilarious.
So if we'll find out if that event is actually going to happen because that's a really cool thing. And then if not, we will be there in some capacity.
Cool.
So, and while I'm thinking about it, I want to shout out to Val, my friend Val. A couple years ago for Hammers, I didn't get tickets, and she grabbed me passes and gave them to me. And she's become a listener to the show. And randomly, she's connected to my sister-in-law. They're best friends. And then my wife was at an event last weekend for my sister-in-law while I was on drugs still. And they were talking about the show. And my wife was like, "It's weird that somebody I know listens to my husband's show every week." And she just like had it hard to process it. But Val, thank you. And I'm sorry I didn't get to see you at the party last weekend.
What was that about? Like, was that a personal shout out? Are we doing that now?
No. It was a personal shout out because Hammers.
I'd like to shout out
on the side, or
I'd like to shout out my buddy from high school, Zach. I haven't seen you in a long time. I miss you, brother.
Morris?
No, not Zach Morris. But I hope you're doing well. I'm sure you're not ever going to hear this, but I miss you, bro.
We were talking about Hammers.
Jose, do you want to go? Do you want to shout out somebody?
Nah, nobody paid me to shout them out.
It reminded me of a fortunate time in my life, and I wanted to share it. That's all.
Are you gonna cry right now?
I could cry right now.
I see tears forming.
Do you guys cry a lot? I cry a lot. I don't know if that's a thing. Anyways, we'll talk about that later off the air. So what if you guys do make it down to Hammers? Let us know. We'll plan something. At the very least, we'll be there in some capacity. If Icon doesn't want to go back to that same spot, I say we go back to that spot.
Yeah,
we'll go back to that
same spot.
Yeah, mark the whole thing out.
We'll remember how to get there.
Oh yeah, I got a map. out.
Well, you guys got to come down. So I started going down to Hammers with the Wheeling Wine and Whiskey guys, and those guys, they don't call it camping, they call it glamping.
Yeah, they have like
trailers and the whole thing.
Trailers, everything, right? But they set up this massive kitchen setup in like a 14 by 30 foot space with pop-up tents and walls all around it. And they circle, like, I think this year we had 20 to 30 RVs and trailers that they just made this massive circle out of as a wind block. And that's a good time hanging out. They know how to do it. They've been going down for quite a while. So if you guys end up not going to the Icon thing, or they don't have it for whatever reason, come on over. We can definitely make room for you at the Wheeling Wine and Whiskey Circle.
And I think we were supposed to meet up with them last year. There was like several people that were like, we're going to try to get here and try to get there. And there was just so much going on. And the other thing is, I'll be honest, that whole Hammertown, like gives me anxiety. I don't want to be like we were camped off
Thunderdome, dude.
It is. I do not drink.
I could have swore I saw Mel Gibson.
Look, I don't drink, so I don't have the sensory dullness to be able to handle all of the stuff that's going on in Hammertown.
Did you just call me stupid?
When you drink.
Agreed.
Yeah, and it's pretty crazy. I mean, Hammertown, there's many bicycles running around till 4 a.m. completely plastered drunk in a circle, and there's people doing belly flop contests into mud puddles, and there's fireworks going off,
and that's all just Matt's
24/7.
tent. That's all just Matt.
It's borderline Burning Man.
You know what that is? That's America. That's what that is. America.
We will figure something out. Between now and the end of the year, what kind of events or trips or like things do you guys have planned that's like big for you guys?
Well, for me, definitely finishing up the 3-4 swap in the 4Runner. I love snow wheeling. So more than rock crawling, more than any other type of wheeling, I do love my snow wheeling. You're
crazy.
Nope.
That's
You need the AC though.
Snow on the ground.
Turn around.
You turn around.
That's our motto.
Right around.
That's our motto.
That's when all the fun begins.
My kind of fun.
So I will say that I have been anti-snow wheeling for the majority of my life. And I've told stories about in my early 20s getting the worst stuck I've ever stuck in my life in snow.
Absolutely.
Last year in my Tacoma with the Nexen tires, Jose and I did a run in the snow accidentally. It was just a rainy day, and by the time we got to the top of the trail,
It was full on,
It was
like
dumping snow, and I had my daughter with me. It was Jose and me and my little girl, and I was like, "This is the worstest. I'm the worst parent in the history of the world." But I was so impressed with the
I
way.
don't think Jose's that bad a guy. You don't have to feel bad about that.
I'm sitting right
hanging
here.
out with your family.
I'm sitting right here. Dude.
He's right there.
I think part of my opposition to snow for so long was not having the right vehicle and the right tires and the right equipment to do it. I think now with the Ford and the Nexen tires, I would love to go tackle some snow because I feel way more confident that I'm going to get out.
No, I was going to say.
I was laughing because the
said
Ford's
Ford.
not going to help you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's why we were laughing too.
No, you know what? Frankly, I felt like I'd been ragging a little too hard on that Ford.
Wait a minute. You can't even drive on a dirt road without busting your bump stops. Come on, man.
I didn't have bump stops. You got to have bump stops to bust them.
It's just leaf spring to frame.
Touche.
Matt used to have bump stops when we did the installation of his suspension system. What used to be bump stops was
just
like
dented.
completely dented pieces of metal.
Concave.
There you go.
So finishing up that swap, and then are you just itching to get it out in the snow once it starts coming?
Absolutely. This will be the first year, not only on the 3.4 in the snow, having the power of the 3.4, which is almost twice, a little bit over twice the horsepower and 60% more torque than the 22RE. So having that in the snow with the 3950 IROX, that's going to be awesome. I haven't been up to the 3950 IROX in the snow yet. I had 36-inch IROX on my first Gen 4Runner, and then this last winter season I had the Maxxis Creepy Crawlers. Mm-hmm. I think the 37-inch Maxxis Creepy Crawlers, and they're a good tire. They're awesome for rocks, awesome for desert stuff, but they suck in the snow because they just don't balloon out. They stay square. You don't get a big contact patch, and so I had those last season, and I was still able to do pretty well, but I'm pretty excited to see how things are going to go this year on the IROX and the 3.4. So,
Jimmy, what do you have between now and the end of the year?
For the most part, it's just probably doing some small trips here and there, no big plans, and then working on the 2-wheel drive to 4-wheel drive.
That's interesting because that goes like that 2-wheel drive to 4-wheel drive, every once in a while we'll get a question like that, or someone will say, what do you think? And I'm always like, the amount of time and effort you're going to spend and the money you're going to spend, just go buy a 4-wheel drive vehicle. Just spend the extra $2,000, get the transfer case already installed. What is making you...
I agree. I'm just saying, I agree. If you didn't have, if I didn't get this truck for $300,
Okay.
I would not have gone down this route. And I get people all the time saying like, you know, I get both sides, right? I get the side where people are like, why are you doing this? But then I also get the side of the audience going like, I'm so happy you're actually tackling this because I want to do this to my truck. And I already have the truck and I want to build it into a 4x4. What am I going to need to do? And so this is going to be at least a stepping stone for those people that will be out there. Now, is it smart? If I were to tell people if they had a 2-wheel drive truck and they want to go off-roading, I'd say sell your 2-wheel drive and go out and buy a 4-wheel drive. It's going to be that much easier. You're not really going to save any money doing this. But it's going to be a fun challenge and a fun little project.
Yeah, from a project perspective,
From a content
perspective, it's amazing. And I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but check out Otwell Welding and Fabrication. They're down here in the high desert.
I know.
Okay. They've done. We've seen the vehicles that they've built. We've had them on the show. They're amazing. So from that whole front axle swap thing, they've probably done it 100 times. But yeah, I would personally not tackle it because I know with my schedule, I would be like, yeah, we're going to do it this weekend and get everything ripped apart. And it would sit there for 7 months and I wouldn't do anything with it and I wouldn't be able to wheel. So, hopefully you have the time to tackle it. And,
yeah, thanks. It says it's taken me almost a year to get it smogged.
Yeah.
And it's not because like I'd never got around to taking it in to get smogged. There was always something. I was getting check engine lights.
Some other issue going
on. And you know, it was a truck that was stolen and taken for a joyride and had all kinds of things happen to it. And then a shop tried to fix it for the owner, and they did things wrong. And then I picked it up, and then I had to go put everything back together and figure out how to smog it so then I can actually put it in my name. So then I can start ripping it apart because now that it's in my name, I can do all these things to it.
I love the fact that he's probably spent more on the smog and more time and money on the smog than the whole vehicle's worth at this point.
Yes.
Now, see,
that's absolutely true.
I'm going to say if I was a financial planner, I would say it's a horrible decision. You're on the wrong path. As a content creator, I absolutely support what you're doing, and I want you to do more of it.
Yeah, I definitely. I don't know how many videos I have of that rig of just things I had to work on to just get it to pass smog. And now I'm to the point where now, I've ripped out the suspension front and rear, the engine's out, the bed's off, the gas tank's out, the transmission and everything's out. It's more or less frame and front cab sitting there about to, be put back together. So
are you going to put
are you going
to put the bed back on it?
Yeah, I'm going to put the bed on it. I'm planning on bobbing it at minimum. He's saying no, but I'm going to do it. And then I'm thinking about dovetailing it because I've never dovetailed a rig before, and I think that'd be a fun thing to try.
Well, and I was thinking if the bed's already off, that's a perfect opportunity for a canopy, like a full on flatbed type canopy. Either a flatbed or a I like
how he's giving you projects to do on your truck.
I don't have to do it.
You know what else you should do?
You know what you should do? You should do.
The Tacoma, I thought about taking the bed off and going flatbed because then you don't have to worry about clearance and you can get the articulation. You don't have to any of that stuff. So and then they have those. What's the name of the company? And I don't think it's X Venture, but they have those flatbeds that have the canopies that drop on. And so if you had a flatbed, you can set the canopy on if you wanted to go on a weekend off-road or camping trip or whatever and then take it off. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's like 6 bolts and a few other things to pull a bed off at that point. Because once you it's 8 bolts on a bed, and then once you bob it, you remove 2 of them. So we're down to 6 now. So. And then you need a buddy just to help you lift it off.
That sounds safe.
If you want more ideas, to waste your time and money, we're here for you, man. We will throw out all kinds of all kinds of ideas that we don't have to actually execute. I'm good at that.
Perfect. Sounds like the next episode.
Yeah.
See what I did there, content creators?
Nice. You guys are good.
Here's the 10 most requested things to do on my truck, right? Here's the ideas. Well, look, guys, I love what you guys are doing. I love the fact that you guys are having so much success. And I think it really comes down to your personalities and the fact that you guys are super likable people that are just doing your thing and everybody's grabbing onto it and gravitating to it. I love thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it and coming on the show. Where's the best place for people to go find you and what you're doing?
Oh man, there's all sorts of places.
That's why I asked the best place.
Yeah, essentially just Google Snail Trail 4x4. Make sure the 4x4 is on there. And there's the YouTube.
Oh, nice.
That's like if you Google us and forget the R.
You forgot our other channels without the R and trail.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. So yeah, there's the YouTube, there's a podcast, there's the website. We're on every single podcasting platform there is. We're all over the place. Just Google Snail Trail 4x4, and there's lots of different places. There's email. You can get in touch with us at Jimmy@snailtrail4x4.com. And then mine's Tyler at snailtrail4x4.com. We've got Snail Armor on Instagram.
I was going to touch on that. As an appreciation to you guys, I wanted to say to all your listeners out there, I'm going to give them a 15% off discount code. We'll do Trailchasers 15 for any Snail Armor products you want. I've started developing a flat tailgate for the Tacomas 2nd and 3rd gen right now. Tundra is about to come out hopefully within the month. And then I'm going to start branching out to other brands as well. So let's do Trailchasers 15% off Snail Armor products. And that's just for your guys' listeners.
That is awesome. Thank you. And and they can find that at the snailtrail4x4.com website?
It's on Snail Trail 4x4, or you can go to snailarmor.com.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Thank you so much for that. That is very cool, man. I appreciate that. That's awesome. I mean, look at we're already saving you money. I mean, look, what else can we do, guys? just go there and buy the thing. We've saved you the money. Well, just by being here today.
Nice. Well, financial podcast.
Yes. So we've already given you financial advice. For some reason, Matt is like dying to give people love advice, and he's married to my sister, and I don't know how comfortable I am with that.
Exactly.
Who am I kidding? And we've had those conversations. But again, going back to what you guys are doing, it's fantastic, man. I see the success you guys are having. It's inspiring for what we're trying to accomplish, and the ongoing growth that you're having is awesome. And I don't see it stopping anytime soon. With any luck, we'll be able to connect sometime in the near future. I am several weeks away from being able to actually go off-roading. I don't know. It'll probably be snow on the ground, probably January by the time I get to go actually off-roading again. So we'll have to go find some snow in between us and you guys, and I'll try it and see how it goes. Yep. Big Bear, Big Bear, wheeling in the snow in Big Bear is pretty fun because there's so many different trails that vary from service road to like rock crawling that you can, depending on the depth of snow and your comfort level, you can just go play around on 3N16 and go from one end of Big Bear to the other and just have a good time. Or you can start taking challenges.
The only one I like is the one that goes to mom and dad's house. This is the main highway, and then that's it. I made it.
And then maybe sometime in January we'll try to connect, or we'll try to connect at King of the Hammers. That will be
isn't that in January?
That'd be cool.
It's actually end of
January.
I just put it on the calendar. It's the last weekend in January, I think, this year. Yeah, but there's no snow out there. It's cold as hell.
There has been.
There was 2 years ago.
Was it? No, really?
Yeah. Yep. The morning of the 4,800 race, there was snow on the track as they were starting. So they went through and, all the racers, just their hands got completely frozen. They couldn't operate their winches, nothing. They couldn't do anything with their hands traveling until about 9, 10 a.m. or so when it finally started warming up.
Cody can't do anything with his hands.
I was waiting. I knew that shit was. I knew there was going to be a reference about my physical inabilities.
We must be running long because it feels like if you know the jokes are coming.
Yes, and we could do an entire show. We can do an entire show just like have the chat room make fun of Cody's physical incapacitations. That's
not limited to his arm.
So, all right. Well, guys, I do appreciate you coming on the show. We will connect again over the next couple of days about the release and everything. You guys know how it works. For those of you that aren't subscribing to their YouTube channel and or their podcast, please go do so. You can find them at snailtrail4x4.com. And if you guys are looking for good, genuine content for the off-road world, you guys got a taste of it today. So if you're listening to this show, I'm sure that you will like their show as well. Tyler, Jimmy, thank you guys so much for coming on, man. We'll catch up with you soon.
Thanks for having us on, guys.
Thanks. This was fun.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, are you looking to upgrade your PC, whether it be for gaming or for video production or whatever your needs are? Go to evga.com and check out their products. They make top-of-the-line graphics cards, power supplies, gaming keyboards, audio cards, cooling systems, accessories, cases, motherboards, you name it, they've got what you need to build a PC. They've stepped up and helped us build a really solid machine for the streaming that we've been doing on YouTube. And if it wasn't for these guys, we'd still be fumbling around trying to figure it out. Please support them. Go to evga.com. At checkout, use the code Trailchasers, and you can get up to 10% off anything you purchase. So go to evga.com, use the checkout code Trailchasers to get a discount. Thanks, EVGA.
You're listening to a 4x4 Radio Network podcast.
The Trailchasers podcast is a member of the 4x4 Radio Network. If you want more off-road shenanigans in your ear holes, go to 4x4radionetwork.com to hear episodes of the Jeep Talk Show, the 4x4 podcast, the Center Steer podcast, and On the Trail with Kevin and Scott.
All right, everybody, we're back from the break. The guys from Snail Trail decided they didn't want to get off the phone, so they're still on the video. They're sitting here. They said that they're going to be the Tim for this section. Since Tim can't be here, they're going to heckle me in the chat so that I lose my train of thought. And
no, I think they'll just heckle you live. Like they're still,
you know,
we can still hear them.
Yes, I guess we can still hear them. I could probably turn down the channel over there, but that would require my right arm to reach over to do that, and I'm just not. In the,
Oh
in the
man, what are
ability
the
to do
odds?
that.
You know.
So we'll talk about that shoulder update. I went to the doctor today, got the stitches out. He said it was all good, but they did not do the allograft. So I do not have somebody else's tendons in my body.
Oh,
I am super disappointed about this.
Yeah, I mean that's an automatic upgrade.
Don't
for
you have somebody else's parts?
Well,
in
no.
you?
So here's the thing.
Yeah, Frankenstein.
Yeah, I'm thinking if I could get more of other people's parts in my body, that would just make my body better. I mean, I think we've got enough historical reference to know that I'm not put together very well.
You're like the glass Frankenstein.
Yes, the functionality of the pieces I was born with is bad. On a scale of 1 to 10, it's bad.
Yeah,
and so I'm hoping to get more other people parts in my body. Which
that came out kind of gross.
And I'm not asking.
Down a bad rabbit hole here.
Hey, but there's nothing wrong with that, guys.
I am not asking.
There's nothing wrong with
Send
that.
your suggestions to Cody.
Not asking for volunteers, just so that we're clear. Not asking for volunteers. If I could, I just thought that maybe the other people's tendons in my arm would be better, but
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Are you gonna be like Rowan Gardner now, and you could throw like 95 miles an hour?
I don't know yet. I can't even pick up my arm, so I've got at least 6 weeks before in this.
Isn't it
stupid
supposed to
ass,
be like this, like with your arm up, like in order for it to heal, so you throw hard?
According to the doctor, it's supposed to be like this, the way it is today. So it hurts like hell. I think I made the comment last week about, or maybe I didn't last week, about like having trouble sleeping. I can't get comfortable in sleeping. So I told you guys that I made the mistake of like, I'm going to take a Tylenol PM. Maybe that'll help me. I was wrecked the entire next day. Like it took me till 4:00 the next day to get that stuff out of my system. I couldn't even.
Usually I got to take 2 of those and then drink like a 6-pack of IPAs.
Damn, dude.
That's what I like. Are you trying to die? I mean, like,
No, I'm just trying to get some rest.
It's like, take 2 of these.
Doesn't
Look,
everyone
man,
else do that every night?
It clearly
What do you
says.
do? What do you do on Fridays? I mean, that's not what everybody does. That shit.
It clearly says on the
We all
bottle,
do
do not drink alcohol. Matt went, okay. Like, that's,
Does it say it on the bottle of beer? Where does it say that?
the beer doesn't say do not take with Tylenol.
Don't read that stuff.
So
Nobody reads that.
So the shoulder's making progress. I got the Ranger back. I know Jose was concerned about it. He was worried about.
That's too bad. It's too bad.
The windows.
They got it back to you, huh? They finally looked into it.
So
How long? It was there for like a week?
10 days, dude. 10 days. So I dropped it off Wednesday knowing I wasn't going to need it Thursday, Friday because of the surgery. I called Saturday and I was like, hey, I'm trying to get an update on my truck. And they're like, it says here that we have it. Yeah, no shit, you haven't. Have you done anything to it?
Kudos to you guys. You haven't lost my truck.
That's fantastic. I appreciate that. She's like,
sorry, real quick. What do you, Tyler and Jimmy? What do you guys' take on the Ford Ranger? Have you guys had any experience with it whatsoever?
No, the new one?
Yeah.
No.
I had experience with the
any
old
Ranger.
one. Piece of garbage.
Yeah,
Not much has changed from the old one to the new one.
That's what I figured.
The Ranger Rover one or the
Raptor Ranger?
Raptor Ranger
Yeah.
over from Australia. That's what needs to happen.
yeah, they've got the Ranger Tremor coming out, which is a Raptor Light. Yeah,
it
Raptor
just rattles around like it's all the wheels are all wobbling.
It's shaking.
It just trembles.
It's a Ranger with epilepsy.
It's aptly named.
So I dropped.
Mini Velociraptor.
So I dropped it off on Wednesday. I called on Saturday. They verified that they had the truck.
That's good.
She said someone will call me back later in the day. So it got to be end of the day. No one called me back. They were closed Sunday. I called Monday. And I was like, someone was supposed to call me. I'm trying to find out what's going on with my truck. She says, well, Victor's your service advisor. He's in tomorrow morning at 7. I'll have him call right at 7.
Nobody else could help you?
7 o'clock comes and goes on Tuesday. Nobody calls me. Tuesday afternoon, I call and I finally get a hold of this Victor guy. And he's like, well, yeah, we drove the truck, but it drives fine. No shit, it drives fine. Like, that wasn't why I brought it in. Did you read the paper? Like, these are the window and the vibration. They hadn't even, he's like, I didn't even look
he
at
works at Ford. Him being literate, who knows, right? I mean,
they didn't even look at the window. He's like, I don't even know what's wrong with the window. Both of you have seen that window. You can look at that window and know there's a
I
problem.
barely looked through it. Yeah,
it takes
like I got vertigo.
The backstory there, guys. But the passenger side window was the glass was distorted. So if you looked at it at a different angle, it would shrink the things on the other side of the window. It would make my wife sick. Like, literally, there's no diagnostics there.
Again, I think like 9 out of 10 Fords. If you're in the passenger seat, you're likely to get kind of You're likely to get kind of queasy.
But literally, there's no diagnostics there. You look at the window and go, "Oh shit, yeah, there's something wrong there." Hadn't even looked at the window yet, and told me that it drove fine. I'm like, "What about the vibration?" He said, "What vibration?" The first line of the report when I dropped it off, customer states. So I'm like, I am done with you. I need to speak to your supervisor, and I want to talk to the service manager. And so he gives me the service manager's name. He leave him a voicemail.
He came out of his cave and he just crawled out. Like,
I leave him.
He's like, hold on, let me get him for you. This is Victor, the service manager.
Yeah. So it's later in the day now on Tuesday, and I finally got a hold of the service manager, and I was like, look, man, I just need some help here, and I'm hoping you're the right person. I don't understand why it's taken 5 days, and I've had to call 3 times to find out what's going on in my vehicle. And to this guy's benefit, he was like, I will take care of it. And since that time, he was extremely communicative.
Did you tell him you had a podcast? And I got a lot
I didn't say
a lot of influence.
I don't do that. I don't. I'm going to blast
just so
you.
you know.
Look,
I know people.
there are 15 people. There are 15 people I can tell this to right now.
Just so you know, I've handed out hundreds of stickers. My podcast.
So he did jump on it. He said he looked at the window, or actually he didn't look at the window either by that point. He said I said, can you please just go sit in the
He already
vehicle?
knew, like, man, I know. Oh, you finally found out about the window.
He's like, it looks like every other Ranger window. What's wrong with it?
Right.
It's probably. So he said, he called me back later and he's like, okay, I turned the car on, I drove it around the lot, and yes, you're right, there is a vibration, I feel it. Let me get someone on it. And so every day he was calling me with an update.
Some people pay extra for that feature, dude.
Yes, yeah, it's
to get on the vibration.
Yeah, but usually you have to
those beds. You had to put quarters in there.
Yeah, you got to put quarters in it. It helps.
That's pretty sweet.
It helps you stay awake during traffic. That's all. So I told him.
Tammy loves it. Sorry, Tam. I'm sorry. That's a sincere apology.
So he's like. So he started looking at it. He's like, the motor's not vibrating that much. He said, but I definitely feel it in the front end. The window, they had to get approval from Ford to get a replacement window. And I was all, first of all, before we go down that path, Victor started saying something about the window and how I haven't brought it in. And it's been 30,000 miles. And I'm like, there's a 36,000 mile warranty. I don't give a shit how many miles are on there now. 30 is less than 36. He's like, I understand. So he was able to get Ford to get a new window.
I think about how disorienting that with the story you're telling about the vertigo window and the vibrating truck. That's like a VR nightmare, you know? Like, oh my God, where am I? It's like one of those rides, what Star Tours, remember?
Yeah.
Like all kinds of crazy shit's happening.
So the vibration, they first said that they found some mud on the pulleys and the serpentine belt, which they cleaned, and that fixed some of the vibration. And I'm like, okay, I could see mud causing some vibration. However, we haven't seen mud in like 3 months.
Was that mud from the factory?
Yeah. we haven't been anywhere near mud.
Was that Ford mud?
When was the last time we hit some mud in,
how they
in
balance
Big Bear?
those things is all I'm saying.
It's been like 3 months.
In January, or no, I mean,
No.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
So anyways, he said, but it's still there. I said, okay, fine. I said, look, this reminds me of, I had a Jeep that had this issue, and the skid plate ended up being pushed up onto the transmission. But I tried to, the front skid plate on the Ford is bent, but it's not touching anything, and I couldn't check the back one. He called me back later, and he said the transmission skid plate, the transfer case skid plate was smashed. And I did that at Johnson Valley when Matt was like, yeah, sure, you're cool. Go over that rock. And I just crushed the...
Frontier went right over
job,
it.
Matt.
Yeah.
Frontier went right over it.
I went over
problem.
it. I smashed the transfer case skid plate, and so he said we took the transfer case skid plate off, vibration went away. And I'm like, cool, great. He said be ready to pick up tomorrow. So I went to pick it up.
By the way, though, your transmission is all messed up.
Yeah.
It actually fixed your transmission, sir.
Yeah. Did you get Victor's paycheck that week because you diagnosed the problem and everything?
I should have.
Yeah.
But so I'll tell you, I went to pick it up
Probably
on
$15-20.
I went to pick it up on Saturday, and I fully expected them to charge me for resolving the vibration issue, because that's not a warranty issue. I smashed the shit out of that transfer case skid plate. My bad. I was broken and I couldn't crawl under there to look at it myself. I fully expected them to charge me for that.
Just wait. You just got the truck back.
They didn't. No. I went through they didn't. I think because I had raised such a stink and had to go, it took 10 days to get resolved.
Oh, so they just took it off but didn't replace it?
No. He said, do you want to replace it? I can order one for you. And I said, no, don't worry about it, because I want to talk to a couple people about possibly building an aftermarket one. But to their benefit, again, kudos to them. The service manager did jump on it. He did take care of it. He was very communicative. He could have charged me for the diagnosis of the vibration issue, and he didn't. So I appreciate it. It's shitty. And I told him this. I said, look, I appreciate what you've done. However, I feel that it shouldn't take 10 days, 5 phone calls, and escalation to a service manager to get some response about a vehicle of, he said, I absolutely agree. I'm looking into it. So hopefully a bunch of people get fired. That they don't have jobs.
Oh man!
But
I don't know about that, dude.
How do you truly feel?
What?
Just because you bought a Ford doesn't mean like now you get to start calling shots. I mean, does it?
I'm just saying that.
Hey! I bought one of these jalopies, and I want heads. I want heads to roll. Wow, sir.
I'm just saying they clearly can't do their job, so he needs to get rid of them.
You want to shout out this dealership?
I don't know. Was that a pot? So we kind of, I don't know how you guys do it, but we have a kind of a standing. We won't bash a product or a
I've been bashing your Ford Ranger for months now. Like, what are you talking about?
We'll go out of our way. We'll go out of our way to promote people that we like working with and do good things, but we don't really bash people. I mean, and I would say that in this instance, I'm happy with the resolution. It's fortunate that I was in a sling for 10 days and I didn't need my vehicle, right? Had this been a normal work week and I dropped it off thinking, okay, I could get by and I need it Monday, I'd be pissed. Yeah. But, again, I have a lot of respect for the service manager. It was a challenging situation. He jumped on it and got it taken care of. It was, should I say?
Boy, it's up to you, dude.
It was Hamburg Ford in Norco, and I was unhappy at first. They did a good job resolving the issues.
Maybe don't see Victor. Maybe see the manager.
Yeah. Hey, when you drop it off, make sure they got good notes. And
First of all, make sure you come in with a good diagnosis of the problem, so you can give them a clue what to look for. Hey guys,
so
when I hit the brakes, I hear that sound. Can you check the rotors and pads, please? And then 15 days later,
It was your rotors and pads.
Victor figured
15
it out.
days later,
Hey.
and they're like, "Yeah, we drove the vehicle, but
It runs great."
We're in the parking lot.
Yeah.
We didn't check and notice anything wrong.
Yeah,
so.
they say you drop it off and say, hey, when I hit the brakes, it makes a noise like this. And they call you 10 days later and say, did you know when you drive the vehicle, it makes a noise like this?
Hey, the truck runs great, but there's a grinding sound, right?
So hopefully that's the. I do need to get a replacement skid plate for the transfer case. So I'm either going to have Casey build me one, or our friends over at White Knuckle Off Road were talking about starting to expand into skid plates and stuff. And I thought this may be a good opportunity for that, specifically because the way the White Knuckle sliders go on there, I actually had to notch that skid plate. So maybe they can make one that fits, but then again, they adjusted the design of their sliders. So that's the Ranger update. Let's talk about the Kessel Run. So for those of you that aren't sure or didn't know, the Kessel Run is happening 17th and 18th. That's this Saturday and Sunday. The plan is to camp at Razor Road, some people are going out Friday, meet at Razor Road Saturday morning, go from Razor Road to the lava tubes, have lunch, come back to campsite, spend the night. Jose can't go because he's a slacker. Actually, Jose can't go because he's trying to better himself and we're giving him a hard time about it.
Exactly.
So he can't go. I can't go because I'm physically inept and basically a broken man. And Matt was going to lead the run.
Right.
So as of
Why
you
did
guys
you say
wanted-
was?
So
why,
this is
why
yeah.
was?
This is where I talk about the situation. So I had a last month. I set up a procedure I have to have next week, and so in order to do that procedure, I have to have a COVID test. I have to take a COVID test that Saturday because it has to be 3 days prior.
That's horseshit, dude. Yeah, why
That's
3 days?
That's at 9 a.m. That is Kaiser's. That's their.
What if you catch it
parameter.
within the 3 days?
I did my COVID test. Like I said,
I mean, it's likely that if I go to Razor Road, I will probably catch COVID. I'd be thankful if that's the only thing I caught.
So here's the plan now. I'm gonna go out. There's a ZR2 Dave. I think Tim Ronchetti, Scott,
Mark. Is Duty Driven going?
Yeah, but I don't know about Friday. Those people are all of us are talking about going out Friday. So I'm gonna go. I mean, if anybody from work's listening, I'm not doing this. I'm gonna go Friday. Nobody cares. Nobody from my work cares. I'm gonna go out Friday morning-ish.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, I think the site we were at is going to be open.
Well, so I'm gonna take the orange room and stuff.
Do you want the orange room?
Do you still have the orange room?
I do. I should have brought it.
Son of a. So the orange room is our canopy, our mobile recording studio. So I'm gonna go out Friday morning-ish to the campsite. I'm gonna try to get to that spot, set up the canopy, set up some stuff, and then send out the coordinates to those that are coming out Friday. Once we have a campsite, I will send those coordinates to everybody that's on the registration. And then Saturday morning, the plan is to meet early in the morning Saturday at the campsite and hit the road around 10 o'clock. Now that Matt's not going to be here, Casey
will be there.
Casey, you're listening?
And I'll be there. It'd just be like
In the afternoon, right?
yeah, like noonish or something. So
So just a little backstory for Tyler and Jimmy. The Kessel Run is, from Star Wars.
Is that where it's from?
have you heard of that movie?
Have you heard of this small movie called Star Wars? Kind of old. No, but it's a section of the Mojave Trail road that goes from like the end of the Mojave Trail it's like a 30-mile section to old lava tubes. That's all.
And it's a really cool. Have you guys ever done the Mojave Trail?
No. Sounds
Okay.
awesome though.
Yeah.
Memorial Day weekend. We do it every year. Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
You guys got to come down. It's a super fun trip. So Casey, who's in the chat room now and listening live, just so you know, you're going to be leading the Kessel Run this weekend.
And this is the inaugural.
So literally,
Formerly the Renegade Highway.
yeah, literally the day that we inked this deal, or at least made the commitment to the team over at Baja Forge who were collaborating on this, the day that we said, yes, we're going to do this, it's this weekend, and got it scheduled, that's the day I found out I had to have surgery. And then I tried to push the surgery off to the following, like after this event, the doctor was like, not happening, dude. You need to get this done right away. So then I was like, okay, well, if I get it done right away, can I go on the trip? And he's like, not happening, dude. You can't go off-roading with that shoulder. So, So Matt, because he's got a legitimate reason as well, Casey is going to be there. I will be there Saturday morning for everybody to meet. I'm going real quick in the chat room. Both Casey and his wife is in the chat room, and I said he just heard me say, "Casey, you're leading the run." He went sick. Her next response is.
Edit here.
Yeah, edit here. So what we're gonna do is I've got all the maps and everything loaded on a tablet. I'm gonna give Casey that tablet. He should be easily. He's been there 20 times. I mean, he's been there as many times as we have to the lava tube. So it's a really fun trip. The Mojave Trail we do every year. This section of the Mojave Trail is
it's like a desert run.
It's a desert run. It's a good mix of hard packed salt flats and then some sandy section, and then what the Kessel Run is there's this run.
It's kind of a sandy
run where like
wash.
You can open up. You can open it up
and go. Like if you're in a Ford Ranger, you can do Mach 2. A Frontier could do like Mach 3.
Yeah, for about 30 seconds, and then something will probably rattle off, or some mud. You'll get mud somehow.
Yeah, if you're driving a Toyota, you'll get there eventually. We'll wait for you guys. Don't worry about it. So I'll be there Saturday morning to get everybody off and running. It's 30 miles from camp, from that general Razor Road camp area to the lava tubes. Have lunch out there. Come back. I don't know if I'm going to stay the night or not. It's all going to kind of depend. Like I said, I can't even get comfortable in my own house trying to sleep at night. So I don't know if maybe sleeping in the truck would be more comfortable. But yeah, the plan is to have everybody come back there, camp out for the night, take off Sunday morning. So we did a very shitty job of planning this event around our schedules, and I apologize for that. But Casey will be leading the run. He's been there a bunch of times. We've got a bunch of friends of the show, ZR2 Dave, Joey D, Joe K, bunch of people.
It's in good hands.
Yeah, it's in good hands. I'm not worried about it at all. I think once we get out there, we'll be it'll be fun. But I think the best part is going to be the camping. I mean, are you still going to come out and camp, Matt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That is the best. Well, I'm still probably going to do what it depends on what time I get there. I might still try and catch up to everybody on the actual run. If I'm there at noon,
you might be able to catch everybody
on the way back.
Yeah. So if you took off,
if
I went into hyperdrive,
if you
I
got
put
it
the hyperdrive and I go.
If you get off Razor and don't come to the campsite, head straight that direction.
Yes.
You might be able to catch them for lunch and then make the run back.
I mean, especially if there's like Jeeps
Well,
that are doing it. Like,
there's a couple. Look,
guys are going to be doing.
There's going to be some Jeeps and there's going to be an F-250, and we both know.
Oh yeah,
we both know.
Oh no, I'll pass them. I'll beat them there. I'll probably have hot dogs grilling. For them.
But you could actually get to the lava tubes on highway. You could actually, so I would.
Where's the fun in that?
No. What I'm saying is, you could pass up Razor Road on the freeway, go up a couple more exits, cut across.
It's like Kelso.
Then meet them. Get off at Kelso Sema, come down and meet them, and then make the run back. That's probably the best way to go. But get on the radio and you can communicate with them.
We'll see. I don't know.
So this is the level of preparation we have for most of the things that we do. It's like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, and then we make it up the rest of the way as it happens, which is why we have
about right.
Which is why we have 900 subscribers on our YouTube channel, and they're like 17,000.
Exactly.
All right, whatever.
We all got to start somewhere.
Yeah, but I think you guys started after we did. So
Yeah, Cody, when are we going to start with the increasing our YouTube listenership, viewership?
as soon as I figure out how to not work for a living, that's for sure.
God, see, there's that again.
It's that W word again.
Yeah, edit that. Edit that four-lettered work
W
word.
So it sounds like a fun run. It sounds like, for the most part, fairly stock rigs can run it.
Yeah, definitely.
It sounds like blasting through some sort of like little playa is going to be a lot of fun. I mean, I'm a little upset that I'm going to be wrenching on a 4Runner this weekend, and I'm not going to drive down there.
Look, you can fly down. I'll pick you up from the Ontario airport. You can take my truck and go off roading.
You could break that Ford.
Look. I know
There you go.
you're a little
own a
bit
Ford.
concerned about driving my Ranger out there, because then you're going to come back and be like, "Damn it, Tyler, we need to change the show."
He has a
Oh,
Tacoma, dude. He's good. He's good to go.
Yeah, exactly. I've been in
I
a
have,
Tacoma.
Should we tell him?
I have a Ford F-250.
Yeah, the big red, right? The old
Clifford.
diesel?
Yeah, and then Tyler, what are you going to do?
I'm getting a new Bronco.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's been. So we put our deposit down too. In here.
Jose and I both put deposits down on the
Yeah.
Fords as well.
We should start a Ford podcast.
There we go.
Okay,
And
guys.
Jose
All right,
can't
calm
join
down,
us.
everybody.
Jose can't be on. I mean, Matt can't be on the show. Matt can't be on the show.
Yeah,
Internet.
it'll be
I
called
don't wanna
Breaking
be-
Broncos.
Breaking Broncos, yeah. The Broken Horse Podcast, brought to you by. But yes, so it's going to be a fun run. It's a really fun trip, and yes, stock vehicles. We're going to have a couple stop Jeeps. And,
Does the Ford podcast break down all the time?
yeah, none of
Well,
those
it never
streams
gets
work.
it never get put on the air. So.
Yeah, it'll play for like 15 minutes, and the rest of it'll shut off.
Do you
It's
have
like-
to lift the hood and let the Ford podcast cool down ever? Or
Well,
We got 1 hour of white noise.
yeah.
yes. Oh, okay.
Just don't let Victor produce it.
Oh, poor Victor. I'm sorry, Victor. If you did your job well, we wouldn't be making fun of you. That's
That's
all.
true.
Poor guy. I mean, it's bad enough he works at Ford, and now we're killing him. You know,
It was
rough.
we didn't plan on that, but Duty Driven's already ready to join the Ford
Yeah,
podcast.
he's ready to go, dude. He drives a giant F-250 long bed.
Yeah, big man truck, big.
Giant.
We did we did a run up in Big Bear, and Mark, one of our listeners, joined us in his big ass 250, and he was like, because before he's like, "Can you do it?" And I was like, sure, you can do it in a full size. There's a couple people that did it in full size. He bombed that thing, man. He did not full size long bed. Didn't care through the twisties and the tight stuff. He hammered that thing. It was awesome.
Nice.
That reminds me of at Sierra Trek a few years ago. There was a dude that showed up with a brand new, it was like a 2019 Power Wagon, and we're all like, "What are you doing with that here? This is Ford Ice." And granted, he was on like one of the outside runs, but he was like, "No, I'm a magazine article writer, something like that." And he goes, "Yeah, I just went to the dealer and told them that I was going to this off-road event. If they had any vehicles they wanted me to do a write-up on, and they gave me this Power Wagon for the weekend, and I have to return it." And I'm like,
In the
"Oh
same
my
condition,
God,
or
you are returning that to them
no.
afterwards?"
Wow.
So, yeah.
Well, my thing on the full size trucks has always been, you can do it as long as you don't care about what the sides of the truck looks like when you're done. Like, that's the thing. And if you don't care, go for it. So Kessel Run, again, to those of you that have registered, and there's a couple of you that are going that didn't register, you know who you are. You reached out to me individually on text messages. You didn't register. You would have gotten the email had you registered and used the proper protocol, my friend. Those of you that have registered will be getting emails, updates in the next day or so with all this information, and I will have all the maps and everything ready to go for you as well. I am looking forward to it, even if I can't go. My Tammy today, I was telling Tammy, we were talking about my shoulder after the doctor's visit, and I'm like, "Yeah, it feels good." And she's like, "Well, do you think you could do the trip?" And I was like, I could probably do the trip if I stayed in back and just went really slow. But I know.
what if somebody else was driving your truck?
Well, it's the bouncing.
Okay.
It's the bouncing. I mean, he just basically screwed all my tendons back down, and I just know that I won't be able to sit in back and just go slow. I'll get Randy and start trying to keep up with people. And
You'll get Randy. Who's that?
is Austin Powers reference? Come on, man.
I know it's That's my dad humor. Just, I can only hold it down so far.
Your
you
dad
know?
humor's not funny.
It's
So anyways,
debatable.
so that's the end. We are rambling on now at this point. Guys, again, thank you for hanging out.
Thanks for hanging out in the
you
second
didn't have
segment
to
of the
hang
show.
out. Yeah, most of the time people don't hang out on the second segment, but I felt like you guys would be pretty fun with your insight. So thanks for and if you want to come down for the Kessel Run, fly down Friday afternoon. I'll pick you up, and you guys can go have a good time in the truck.
I might have a new to me 3.4 engine in my 4Runner by then. So
There you go, dude.
Well, get it done Thursday. Sounds like you guys know what you're doing. You get it done Thursday.
Thursday night.
Drive it down Friday for the
You work
inaugural
out,
test.
yeah, you work out all the bugs out on the Kessel Run.
Yeah.
And
It will explode in the desert, and then we can tell stories about it. That's gonna be fun.
there we go.
I'm installing a 3-inch Old Man Emu lift on a 5th Gen 4Runner this weekend.
That sounds fun too. I mean,
So
not as fun as Kessel Run, but
I agree with you.
hey, Jimmy, do you
I'd
have any
always
plans?
rather be wheeling than wrenching.
Do you have any-
wrenching's a close second.
Do you have any plans on upgrading your Tacoma, or is it kind of still in the air right now?
I had that question upon me this weekend. It's the thing about the Tacoma is it's like the third one in line for anything to happen. You know, I've got right now my priority is the 2-wheel drive rig going to the 4-wheel drive.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's my Bobcat, my truck that I always wheel. And then if there's free time after those 2 rigs, it usually falls onto the Tacoma.
I see.
It'll probably get a few inches of lift and get onto some 33s to 35s at some point. And then once I get bored of that, it'll end up on 40s. But, you know, it's baby steps.
You know, if we could get an RCLT from Marlin, then the Tacoma might become the priority.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's that new long
Absolutely
travel
would.
kit they have, right? The rock
Yeah,
crawling
exactly.
long travel.
yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I told him. I said I have a set of 40s sitting in my shop, and if we can work out something and get that long travel kit, I'll throw 40s on and help you guys out do marketing.
Is that what
And they're
they're
like, sounds good.
Is that what like the goal of that suspension kit is for like 37s or 40s or?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
that's the perfect range for them.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah. No, I've got my 33s. I'm happy. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm continuing the remodel of my kitchen. I'm probably gonna have to fix some sprinklers in my front yard the next few weeks or so. That's what I got going.
There you go.
That sounds just as fun as what they're doing. I would say. I think they're jealous of you, sir. All right, everybody. Well, look, we again, thanks for the time, guys. It was fun. It was fun having you hang out for segment 2 as well. And for those of you that are not subscribing to the Snail Trail podcast, please go do so. And go check out their YouTube channel. And if you get the time, please leave us a review on iTunes or Stitcher or any of the other iHeartRadio, I think, does reviews now. So any of those.
Podcast Addict is doing reviews now.
Oh, very cool. Okay.
There you go.
So,
Leave a review there too.
Any of those reviews would help. We appreciate it. We usually read the reviews once we get them. We read them on the show. And if you have anything else, please check us out at trailchasers.net. Anything else, guys, before we cut out?
Yeah, thanks for having us on. It's been a fun night, man.
Yeah, thanks, man.
I just I'm now thinking about getting an Ultra 4 rig and putting a rooftop tent on it.
Let's do that. That is
Hey, I saw rooftop tents on
Razors.
on Razors over
Yeah.
at the Off Road Expo last year. So
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's not that crazy.
It's not, but we'll see. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for listening. Thanks for those of you that are in the chat room that show up every week and check us out. We appreciate it. You guys have a great night, and we will talk to you next week.
I'm Presley, and thank you for listening. Thank you to Max and Taya. Thank you to Icon. If you want to be on the show, call 951-394-DOPE. Thank you to Ryan Torino with all of the music.